station. I think I said all that pretty right.
Very good.
My name is Michael Whalen, and I am your host for the Dayquest Life Radio Hour, where we explore life as a creative medium and where the masterpiece is you. And we explore, some of the parts and pieces about how we get to be and create this ongoing masterpiece that we can't really plan. We were just talking about that.
Right.
We set up structure and we prepare, and when the on-air sign goes on, something happens. We don't know exactly what it is. Life is not so predictable that we can ever say that we know what's going to happen next. That's the beauty and the mystery and the excitement. And sometimes what we do is we get lost in the idea that we have to have it all figured out right now. And we have to have everything planned out for the next 10 years. And we want security. That's one of our natural hardwired things, is to want to feel secure and to be secure. And when we look at the idea that everything is happening in the moment, that is absolutely unpredictable for the most part. We try to create reason out of it, and we create probabilities, and we try to make good things happen, and that we have an influence, that helps. But the truth of it is that it's a mystery. And we don't really, there's no security in a mystery, but there is beauty. There is beauty in mystery. And when we get to a point, I think that when we get to a point where we're able to kind of lean back a little bit and kind of enter into that mystery and wonder at it and be present to the energies that are kind of happening like right now, then we kind of grab a different aspect of things. So when we can do that, I call it being mindful. Being aware of the present moment is the definition of being mindful. When we can do that, what's amazing is that all of those other kind of desperate worries or the ruminations about the past, or really, they're all real and valid concerns in the moment where we are just being present to what's happening. None of that exists. It's just being here right now in St. Petersburg, Florida, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, where the sun is coming in through the windows, and it's a beautiful warm day. And we're sitting here looking at each other, right?
Right.
Yeah. And just being alive. And being conscious of the gift that is. Yeah. So I'm very happy to be here, and thank you to our producer, Anne-Marie Cash, Levasseur. She puts this all together and grants us this gift, which is the show. And the purpose of this show is to gift the community with community building. That's what we try to do with the show, is build more community. And in particular, I like to have the focus of helping people to realize that they have a purpose here. I believe that now, maybe more than ever, it's probably been always true, but now more than ever, that we are called. We are called to do what it is that our purpose is, what it is that it is. It's not easy to find that, though.
Right.
It's kind of difficult to find what it is that we want to do or are supposed to do, and we go down this path, and that might not be it. But we have to know, like, when we're on the wrong path, as much as when we're on the right path. So this show is about exploring some of that, looking to see where the community is being built, and explore that and help that to be out in the world, so that people know what other people are doing and how you got there, how we got to, like, finding the juice of like what really juices you up and juices us up. So that's about what the show is about. And I'm really, really pleased today to have a wonderful guest. Carla Clayton is here with me today. Thank you for coming, Carla.
It's a delight to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, my pleasure. Absolutely. Carla and I are in the holistic network of Tampa Bay.
Correct.
Right? And I think it's growing now. I think it's
Yeah.
going to move into the holistic network of Florida.
That's my understanding.
Eventually.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And so that's a great organization where obviously people who are of a holistic orientation get to meet and network together and find out about programs and things that we're doing. And so that's where I met Carla. And I was really appreciative of hearing Carla talking about not only what she did, but the idea, Carla, that you have of being a community builder. And I know that that's how you describe yourself on your website, wellnesslady.com.
Mm-hmm.
I got that right?
That's right.
All right, you trained me well. On wellnesslady.com, and you and I talking together, you said that is sort of your passion, to be a community builder.
That is correct.
Yeah. So you've been a elementary school teacher.
That's right.
You've traveled the world. You taught elementary school in Okinawa.
That's correct.
Right.
I had a 3-year adventure there.
Yeah.
Overseas, working for the Department of Defense schools,
Okay.
teaching youngsters.
Right.
They were American children. So,
Yeah. On base, I suppose.
On base. That's right.
Right. Very, very good.
Mm-hmm.
You grew up here in Florida and in Georgia.
Right.
Right.
I had homes in both places as a youngster.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So you have done some traveling around and had a couple of different entryways into career. How long were you a teacher?
I was a teacher for 15 years.
Wow. Okay.
Yes.
And what grades were you teaching?
I taught first, second, third, and fourth.
Some of the young ones.
Yes, the little ones.
What
That
a
was
pleasure.
that was definitely where I felt called at that time in my life to be.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think led you there?
When I was in high school, I just knew that that's what I wanted to do. I had a lot of great teachers, and I was inspired by them, and I wanted to carry on their work and inspire other, children to be able to get a good education and to make it fun and enjoyable.
So often when I talk with people, that's what I hear is that there are people who they have been inspired by, who have done something for them in their lives that then you want to emulate, or you want to do that for other people. And so often it is that kind of passing down and that mentorship. And it sounds like that's what happened for you. Was there any particular teacher or person that you can remember that
one that's coming
really was
to
an
mind?
influence for
Yes,
you?
one that's coming to mind as we talk, and he has since passed, but it was an English teacher I had, Mr. Childs. And I remember he talked about his dream was to be able to work for the Department of Defense.
Really? That's amazing. How old were you then? When you
I
thought
was,
of it?
16.
Okay.
And, it just happened that later in my life, when I got my degree, that I was married to a military officer and we went to Okinawa. So I had the opportunity to work for the Department of Defense schools. And it came back to me at that point when that opportunity came up. I said, this was his dream he never got to fulfill, but it's something that I get to do. And, he had planted that seed somehow.
Right.
It had come up in my life.
And it took
So,
root
yes.
for you. And in some way, that was part of the influence that you were able to fulfill for this man who was a really good influence for you, Mr.
Yes,
Childs, right?
Mr. Childs, yes.
Oh, all honor to Mr. Childs.
That's
it sounds
right.
like he was
Yeah.
a really big influence.
Yes.
Okay. Wow. That's an amazing story.
Mm-hmm.
That's so incredible to me how, just a teacher can mention this is what he really wanted to do. And then without directly knowing it, you pursued that or it ended up in your life.
Exactly. Now that was
So we never know where the seeds are going to
exactly.
be
So
planted or come from.
This happened to me just a few years ago. I ran into one of my students I had taught second grade to in Georgia.
Okay.
And I said, "What are you doing now?" He said, "Well, I am in the military and I'm going through training and I'm learning Japanese. I took it in high school, and I want to do like translating, for the Japanese." And I was like, "Well, I knew that I taught in second grade a
Right.
whole unit on Japan."
Right.
But I just asked him, I said, "Well, what do you think inspired you? Why Japanese? I know in the high school year they don't teach that." And he said, "Well, I don't really know where that came from, but I just have always been fascinated with Japan." And then I said, "Do you remember second grade?" And he goes, "Oh, yes, I do." And he had gone on and got independent study in our high school on Japanese.
Wow.
And so there it paid it forward.
Sure
Same thing.
did. Amazing.
Inspiration.
Yeah. So you have, as a teacher, you directly, like for myself as a counselor, we have the privilege of knowing that we influence people's lives in a really positive way.
Right.
Right. And
Mhm.
that's a good example of how that happens. And you get it back. You get messages back like, "Oh, this
Right.
person's doing really well."
Mhm.
15 years. That's a lot of kids.
Yes.
That's
Yes,
a
it
lot
is.
of kids. Amazing. So, okay, so you taught for 15 years, and what are some of the communities, to switch gears a little bit, what are some of the communities now? I mean, obviously that was wherever community you were teaching, that was you had a big influence in that community and a big investment in that
Mhm.
community,
Mhm.
and in the educational community. What does it mean to be a community builder here? What kinds of things, what kind of communities are you involved with around St. Petersburg and Florida now?
So one of the communities that I'm actively working on and building is through the Rotary Club. And
Yeah.
there are several Rotary clubs in our area. There are 6 in the St. Pete area. But the one of which I'm affiliated is the Rotary Club of St. Petersburg Sunset.
What is the Rotary Club? Because I've never been to a Rotary meeting. I've seen the signs,
Yes.
the Rotary Club, and I've seen maybe some things that were sponsored by the Rotary Club, maybe a bench somewhere.
Very common,
That was
yes.
very common, right?
That's right. So the Rotary Club was started in Chicago well over 100 years ago by a businessman who wanted to put together a community of other businessmen so that they could, he felt a little bit isolated. And so he wanted to, get together with other businessmen and put their heads together, do some networking, but also do good for the community. So they started meeting at each other's businesses, and they rotated the meetings, and it was a lunch meeting.
Oh, I got you.
And that's where you got the name Rotary.
Okay.
And the organization is now a worldwide organization, and I believe that Rotary emblem is one of the most recognized logos in the world. So, it does have an impact, and one of their first service projects was to build a public restroom.
Really?
Community it's got the name on it. So
Wow.
just an interesting
Yeah.
fact.
Right.
But,
I didn't realize there was a need for that, but I guess there is. I mean,
Yes.
that's one of the still major problems in major metropolitan areas, that there's no place for folks who don't have a home.
Yeah.
To go to the bathroom.
Or if you're
Take care of
just
themselves.
out walking around town and you
Running around
need somebody,
town.
you got to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
So that's it. Now, what Rotary is well known for internationally, our biggest project, which is going to be a history maker, is to eradicate the earth from polio. So we've been working on it since the 1980s. Big campaigns to get people vaccinated against polio.
What's the Rotary Club done in that regard? I know that the World Health Organization is involved in those kinds of things, and the CDC, but I didn't know the Rotary Club has been involved. What are they doing?
So the Rotary Club
What have they done?
initiated it and has put together all those organizations that you've mentioned, along with brought on board Bill Gates, who has done a lot of matching funds with what Rotary has done. So building a community of people that can put and make this happen.
Right.
It is now down to 2 or 3 countries where we still have some polio.
So they create educational programs, they provide money for vaccinations or help to create those links for getting people or children vaccinated?
And actually deliver the vaccine. So Rotary Club members are very involved in that. They go to these countries and help deliver it. And there's a lot of, community building that has to be done, because the places where we're still having trouble are areas where there are political issues.
Right.
So that's where, and I don't off the top of my head remember
That's
the 2
all
or
right.
3 countries that it's still left in, but I know
Mhm.
we have accomplished India, and that was a huge.
That's an amazing.
Huge. They have to go 3 years without, a certain number of cases to be
Mhm.
considered no longer.
And so there's an international focus, is there a local focus on the service as well?
Yes, that's a big part of each club is locally serving the community as well as, the international. So locally, the things that the club that I'm involved with and the St. Pete clubs, we all collaborated to help the St. Pete Free Clinic to refurbish a home for, the families that come in crisis and need a temporary place to stay. So all of our clubs pitched in and made that project happen. And we've also done like toiletry drives we just did one, we raised like 900 pounds of toiletry items between the clubs. We all worked together. That'd be a community building where
Sure.
within our club in the community, we've worked all together to do that. And then our club has done most recently, there's an organization called Ready for Life. It's for young adults who have aged out of the foster care system. And so what has happened is.
That's a wonderful program,
Yes,
and so
yes.
needed. I remember working at an agency where we worked with people, children who were foster care children, and with their parents.
Mhm.
And it was such a big need. It was so difficult one of our jobs was to try and train the children to be, as they became adolescents, to be ready to take over for their own lives. And that's very, very difficult when you've already come out of a home
Mhm.
or a place of so much strife
Mhm.
and been so tenderly wounded.
Mhm.
It's very difficult to do. So tell me more about this project. It's Ready for Life. That's the
Ready
name
for
of the
Life.
project.
So we just do a very small, it has a big impact, and that's what with all my communities I'm working with, that's a big theme is, small steps that we do can have a big effect. So we recently, and we've done this several years, at Christmas time, we buy Christmas presents
Mhm.
for these young adults who now have families and children of their own.
Okay.
And we had 2 of them who now work for Ready for Life come and speak with our club back in January, or the 1st of January.
Yeah.
And they were telling the story. And one of the young women, she said to us, she said, "You don't know what a difference that made in our lives. You probably don't know." And I can honestly say, we buy presents, we wrap them up, we do a club meeting around it, we have a lot of fun with it, but we're not there. We don't see it when they receive the gifts.
Sure.
But she told this story, and she said, we all get together and, the kids, open the gifts. And she said, when I saw my children open those gifts that you all provided for us,
Mhm.
it erased all the bad Christmases
Wow.
that I had experienced. It took those away.
Wow.
And she said it was very meaningful for
Oh,
her.
it's
So
transforming.
yeah, so that
what a healing
yeah,
that is,
yes.
and what a good feeling that must be
yes,
for you to know that you can be a part of that.
to see it come full circle is really good. So I'm actually going to have those ladies come back out and share that story on February 18th. We're
Okay.
going to be having a Meet Sunset meeting. It's a meeting to get membership information to people who want to come see what our club is all about.
So it's the Sunset Rotary Club.
Right.
The Sunset Rotary Club.
That's
and
right.
On February 18th
That's right.
at 6:30?
6 o'clock
6
p.m.
o'clock, okay.
at the Hilton Bayfront down here downtown.
Oh, just a couple of blocks away from here. That's great.
right.
Okay.
And we meet, they have a little room off the side of their bar there. It's called the Tangerine Room, and and we're welcoming everyone to come out, and we're going to be showcasing what is Rotary International, like we talked about, as well as what do we do locally. And we're a unique club in that we're younger. We're a traditionally younger club than most Rotary clubs, or young at heart. And we also meet at happy hour versus lunchtime.
Or the Rotary clubs that I have been maybe exposed to and tempted to check out, we're at 7 in the morning.
Yes, that's the breakfast club.
And that's not me.
Exactly.
So I'm like, Rotary, yeah, sounds really great. Well, what time are you meeting? Oh, we have breakfast at 7 o'clock. Oh, okay, have fun.
That's how I feel too. That's why I picked this club.
That's great. So this one's the Sunset Club. I love that.
That's right. So yeah, I've been a Rotarian for over 10 years, and yeah, I moved here just a few years ago. So I connected with this club because of a couple of things. One, I like that we meet in the evening. That resonates well with me.
Right.
And secondly, because we are very hands-on. So we do at least one service project per month, which is also pretty unique to have that much hands on the ground. We plant trees, we help the homeless, we do, these projects I've been telling you about. As well as the third thing is we have a social every month as well. So we meet at different places around St. Pete. We just met this last Thursday at the Old Northeast Tavern.
Okay.
We've met at the Canopy. We've met at Hofbräu House. We just try to visit the local establishments around town.
Well, it sounds like you are going back to the roots of the Rotary Club, which is rotating around and getting exposure for everybody. And that's a great way to network and do good. And as people get together and they're doing good, it becomes a synergistic kind of thing. You can do so much more as a group together than you can as individuals, just sort of taking chips away. I mean, it's all important, but coming together as a group can really light it up.
That's right.
It really does. And it sounds like you all are doing wonderful, just terrific work, both internationally through the service and locally too, as well as energizing the community and bringing awareness to the community of some of these issues, which, you don't, if you're reading about it in the paper, it's different than when you're doing something like wrapping presents for children, and then you have somebody come and tell you that story and be touched by their heart. And knowing what you do, and it makes such a difference. So then it kind of adds more purpose.
Right.
If you're a business person, it adds more purpose to what you're doing in business.
Right.
Because if you're successful, you can help more people.
Right.
It gives more purpose to your being and being a part of the community, and expands who you are as a person. And we're all about connecting. It's all about the relationship, I think. Yeah.
That's what people are looking for today. We really want the connection with real people, because, we are so involved with the social media, but yet there's no replacement for getting together with humans, other human beings.
Right. Yeah. It's one of the great side benefits of doing this show is that I get to do that. I get to connect for an hour with somebody, these wonderful people, and it's fabulous to just sit here and talk. You get that chance to do that everywhere. Right?
That's true.
It's really great.
And to share with the world.
And to share it with the world.
That's
right. Thank you, Anne-Marie. So let me take a moment. Let's just take a little break here to remind everybody that I'm here with Carla Clayton, and this is the DayQuest Life radio show. My name is Michael Whalen, and you're listening on WSPF-DB, rhinoonair.com. So I'm here talking with Carla Clayton, and we've just got done talking about the Rotary Club and the service work as part of one of the communities and that she's involved with in building communities. And we were also talking about being on the path, and I think this will kind of segue into another one of your communities, and that is talking about the transformational time that you have had over the last couple of years. And so one of the things that I like to talk about and explore on the show is, how do you know when you're on the right path, and what does it take sometimes to make you know that you're not on the right path? And that question sometimes comes up with, actually that answer comes up more frequently as being something that's really definitively known, because we pay attention to those things that come up and kind of knock us up the side of the head and say, what were you thinking? What are you doing? Or no, this isn't where your life's supposed to be going. Get back over here. And I wish it were easier. And sometimes I think if we were paying more close attention to, what does make us feel good, paying more attention to our global, joyful positioning system, our internal positioning system, that might be better. But you have a story of how you were brought into a time of transformation and did some things to help tune in.
Yes.
Can you talk some more about what that was like for you? What
Sure. I had a couple of transformations happen in my life, and I would say one happened as a young adult, and that was when I had a history of just being sick a lot, and then I was introduced to a different way of living so that I wouldn't be sick, and that brought me to the career path that I'm on now. And then I also had a life transformation a few years ago that I'll also talk about, and how that brought me here to St. Pete. So I'll start with the first one. It all started on a dare. So I had chronic sinus allergies, and I was on antibiotics 8 and 9 months out of the year. And I questioned this. So I would ask the doctors, why? Why am I sick all the time? Why do I keep getting these colds? Why do I keep getting these sinus infections? And they provided me no answers. They just said, this is just you just have allergies, and this is what you're going to have to do.
This is your system, and
this
here's
is you.
Some pills to help you to manage the symptoms.
Exactly. And in my core, inner being, I knew that wasn't right.
You knew what you knew.
I didn't know what the answer was, but I knew that wasn't the right answer. And I kept searching and searching, but I didn't find it until just a friend said to me, hey, can I dare you to do something to make you feel better? And if you don't, you get your money back. And it was some supplements. It was a protein powder and some vitamins. And so I tried them, and quite honestly, I don't know that I really noticed a difference, that I felt better or not. So when I was done, I didn't ask for my money back because I couldn't really tell one way or another.
Well, it didn't hurt you, so
it didn't hurt me, right? So I said, well, I'll
things
try.
weren't worse.
Yeah, I'll try some other things and whatnot. But then I noticed a few months later that I was back to feeling worse. So that's one thing when I learned that sometimes we are not in tune with when we feel good. We're more, or for me, I know I was more in tune with when I felt bad.
Right.
So I then knew I felt worse.
Yes.
So I went back and I said, all right, let's try this again.
I think that's a really important point
Yeah.
that you just brought up,
Yeah.
which is sometimes we don't pay attention
Yeah.
to when we're feeling good. That's just sort of like we just keep going. We're
Take
just
it for
going
granted.
along. We're
Yeah.
gonna take it for
Take
granted.
it for granted. So I went back, and then I really began to dive into this whole concept of taking better care of myself, that the foods that I eat do make a difference. The supplements I take make a difference. My attitude, my whole lifestyle would make a difference. And I began
So
small
how
steps.
you live,
Yes.
both what you consume and how much exercise you have, and the
Right.
kind of attitude that you develop and take into the world. I'm going to say consume. We almost consume the attitude that we develop for ourselves, right? We're taking it all in.
Right.
Some of that makes a difference.
Absolutely.
What?
Yeah, it did.
Are you kidding me? We can
It
make
works.
choices about how we live. We don't have to just eat, sugary cereal and, listen to the TV and tell it do what it tells us to do.
Exactly.
No, come on.
No, really, this is my new career now.
Carla, you're pulling my leg here.
And so that led me into the career path which I'm on now, which I am a certified health coach. It was a long path. I've been, practicing and growing small steps at a time for myself. I remember when I first started on this journey, I like you said, I had grown up in South Georgia as well as here. And in South Georgia, sweet tea was what you drank. And that was, I remember making the sweet tea.
Nothing wrong with a little sweet tea,
And
right?
put, 3 cups of sugar in that pitcher of water with the tea. And I look at that now, I'm horrified. But I
60 grams of sugar, what's that?
yes, that's what I grew up on. So when I first made the switch to start drinking primarily water, it was tough. Now I don't even think about it. It's a part of my lifestyle. But that's what I do now, and when I work with people is I say, let's just take small steps.
Let's take small steps, right?
Because it took me almost 25 years to get where I am today.
Mm-hmm.
And so
It's the same way I work with my
Right.
clients.
Yeah.
Look, let's look at what it will look like.
right,
Let's imagine what it's going to be
Yes.
like when the miracle happens.
right.
So you know where you're going.
Mm-hmm.
But let's see where you're at now and what is just the next doable step. Because if I'm trying to do what's over here and I'm only over here,
Mm-hmm.
my head's going to hurt
Exactly.
after a while and I'm going to give up because I've been hitting my head against the wall and that's
Right.
just not going to work.
Right.
So just scaling it down, taking the next step, and that's what you're doing when you're helping people to change their lives.
Right. And I have a saying I say a lot, and that is we're looking for progress, not perfection.
Progress, not perfection. I love that.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Yes. And I say process, not perfection sometimes too.
Mhm.
Because sometimes it's about just having to do the internal work, and that's my field. But yeah, progress, not perfection. And so that if you were to draw a graph, right? Perfection kind of looks like you start here and you go like this in a
Right.
straight line. Progress, not perfection, kind of goes like this.
Yes,
I really
spirals
like
up and
that,
down,
right?
right.
Yeah, you
But
make
you're
some
going up.
progress, and sometimes I just feel like I'm
Right.
not doing so well. Sometimes I forget to exercise, or
Right.
I choose to sit on the couch, or I really love that ice cream.
Sure.
Then I learn something, or I think, oh, there's a new thing. I learned something else that I
Right.
really don't feel good.
Right.
I'm getting back on that horse. Let me go. And
Right.
so it's like this. And that's what we're doing throughout our lives.
Mhm.
And that's energizing
Right.
because I don't have to be perfect.
Mhm.
Because as soon as I fall off of this line, I'm right down to zero.
Mhm.
When I know that it's a part of the process, when it's progress is a process, then I can have some perspective and say, oh, okay, well, wait, this is kind of expected. It's expected sometimes that I'm just not going to be 100%.
Mhm.
And maybe I do need to take a rest.
Right.
And maybe sometimes there is some things that are happening in my life that comfort food is just what I need right now.
Mhm.
And it's okay.
Right.
And so we stay in a place of self-acceptance,
Mhm. Mhm.
always fully accepting and loving ourselves as a
Right.
part of that progression. And the energy is so much different when we look at it from that direction.
It is.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. And I know you do that in what you're doing. Now, you studied under Dr. Sears, is
That's
it?
right. I
For
have
your
a
certification?
right. My health coach certification is with Dr. Sears, and he's America's most loved pediatrician.
Okay.
And he has a science-based, curriculum so that I can work with parents of children in helping them to, feed their kids right. And it's a lean program. And some of the things we've talked about, lean being lifestyle, exercise, attitude, and nutrition. And so it's a really good program that makes it fun, to how to talk with children about food so that we work with their mind about food instead of, you need to eat this, if you don't, there's punishments and all these things. But instead, we call really good foods, we call them grow foods. These are foods that are going to help you grow and make you smart. And, so we can, talk about it that way. We have traffic light eating where we have, the red foods we want to stop and think about not have too often.
Oh, I need to put one of those on my
You need
freezer
a traffic
drawer.
light.
I think you already got that. Ice cream is my weakness.
There you go. That would be your red food. Then you have the yellow foods, which are foods, we slow down. They're good for us,
Right.
but how much matters. So, for example, nuts,
Okay.
things like that,
Right.
or meats, things like that. They're good for us. We need them,
Right.
but how much.
So
And then we have green foods, which are go foods, eat them all the time.
green
And
foods,
that's
really.
your plants,
Right.
those are going to be,
So this is not only for children. This kind of thing doesn't work just for children.
right,
But this is the way that you work with adults, modified somewhat too.
exactly.
So give me it again. LEAN is lifestyle, exercise, attitude,
Nutrition.
and nutrition. Okay, they all go together. Talk to me a little bit about lifestyle. What kind of things do you look at and help people to shape around lifestyle?
Lifestyle is going to be the things like you were talking about. How much time do we sit in front of social media or television as opposed to, getting outside, being active, doing things that nourish our soul? Those are the kind of things, just choices that we make on a day-to-day basis. It may even be the people we choose to hang out with,
Sure.
and that's where community building comes in. It's, build your community of people that are going to support you in your life.
Yeah, and think about what it is, maybe even, okay, so what am I here to do? What is my life's purpose? Even if it's not even if it's not the big thing, like, well, my life's purpose is to, heal, whatever. That I think is daunting. We talked about having two goals too big.
Right.
But how can I make my life meaningful? And I think that comes from listening to yourself and following what really excites you.
Right.
What really brings you joy. It may be, the soccer team, your child's soccer team, or it may be going to church, or it may be, learning about nutrition, or it could be something bigger, affecting your community, starting a foundation, helping people homeless, or it may be just being the best parent that you can be, the biggest job in the world, and learning about how to be a good parent, not just following your instincts all the time. Maybe that's good, and some people can do that, and they're really good at it because they've had good parents.
Right.
But wherever that juice is, right, and following that juice, even if it looks tiny,
right,
even if it looks really small, like that, the story about the gift that these children received, that looks like maybe a small thing. There you are wrapping the gift.
Right.
It's not that big of a gift, Candyland or whatever.
Right.
Maybe something like that, right? Okay, but wow, what a big difference that made for those people.
Big impact. So another lifestyle thing in talking about a small change that people can make is sleep.
Oh gosh.
So
yeah, I'd like to hear more about this. I am really in tune with that.
All right. So there have been some studies that show that the difference between 7 hours and 8 hours sleep is a 3 times boost in your immunity. So that extra hour from 7 to 8 hours, better immune system. Also, between 7 and 8 hours is the releasing that hormone called ghrelin, which is the hunger, makes you feel hungry.
Oh,
So if you
more
don't
of that
get
when you don't
yes.
get enough sleep.
Yeah, so these are little lifestyle changes you can
That's
make.
the hormone that gets me to the freezer when I'm staying up late.
That's right. That's
I'm really
right.
tired.
Yeah.
That's the truth. I'm really tired and I'm looking for a little boost.
Yeah.
And not only that, but while you're sleeping, you produce melatonin, and you also, which is the precursor to serotonin. And serotonin is the feel-good hormone. So it's huge. And there's a big cognitive relationship too. In other words, if you don't get enough sleep, you're going to have difficulty with memory, you're going to have difficulty with recall, you're not going to be able to retain things as well, and you're not going to be as sharp.
Right.
Everybody knows that when I haven't got a good night's sleep, but when it's chronic, now people who don't get chronic, it's even worse because you do get depressed. If you are sleep deprived long enough, you'll get psychotic. You will lose touch with reality.
Right.
And to some degree, that's what happens when it's chronic like that. So it's a very, very, very important topic, is getting good sleep.
Right. And I'd like to add to that, because as a school teacher for many years,
Yes.
parents think that the 8 hours is for children, but children require 9 to 11 hours
Yes,
of sleep.
yes.
And they're not getting that today. Most children are not. So that is one of my things is, I hope out of this show that parents will hear this and say, my kids need to get more sleep.
Right.
Because that'll help them in school, just like you're talking
Getting
about,
them to bed.
cognitively.
Well, it'll also help with their development because
Yes.
what's happening during sleep for a child is that they are growing huge amounts of brain cells and
Right.
body cells, and it's really going to help with their development overall.
Right.
And so sleep is hugely important. And the other thing that sleep is important for is to help to clear the cache, the mental cache.
Mhm.
So we go to bed, we have these worries and things like that, and through dreaming and through the processes that happen in sleep, we kind of get a fresh start. I mean, it seems kind of obvious when you just say, oh yeah, well, of course. But when there's the deficit, that's when it really shows up as something that's impacting our lives.
Okay.
And it will create stress, which will create cortisol, which will add weight. And so it all links together.
Right. Very important.
Yeah, really important.
Of course, I have lots more tips, but
I think you do.
we can.
Yeah.
We have a whole lot more to talk about.
That's
so.
true. That's true. Okay, so where are we at here? We're doing good. I just want to take another break and to say this is Day Quest Life. And we're going to take time and we're going to do the Poetry Minute. And I brought some poems today from the wonderful Pulitzer Prize winner, Mary Oliver. And I think the first one I want to read is maybe one of her most famous, and it's one of my favorites. It's called Wild Geese. I may have read it here before, I'm not sure, but here it is. Wild Geese by Mary Oliver. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about your despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese high in the clear blue air are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. Wild geese. I love that poem. Over and over, announcing your place in the family of things, the world offers itself to your imagination.
Mhm.
It's there for us to create,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
It really is. Paying attention to the clear pebbles of the rain and moving across the landscapes, the wild geese high in the clean blue air. These are things we see all the time,
Mhm.
that are around us all the time in order and call to us.
Right.
And we're a part of that whole creation.
Mhm.
We sometimes think we're separate from all of that, but I think more and more we're being called to realize our connection. Yeah. So I don't know how we're going to transition from that, but actually, I think I could read one more. Let me see. I think this one might. Let's see.
I can transition from that one if you like.
Okay, go ahead. Here it is. The journey. Let me just do this.
Okay, this one might work.
The journey. One day you finally knew what you had to do, and began, though the voices around you kept shouting their bad advice, though the whole house began to tremble and you felt the old tug at your ankles. Mend my life, each voice cried. But you didn't stop. You knew what you had to do, though the wind pried with its stiff fingers at the very foundations, Though their melancholy was terrible, it was already late enough, and a wild night, and the road full of fallen branches and stones. But little by little, as you left their voices behind, the stars began to burn through the sheets of clouds, and there was a new voice which you slowly recognized as your own, that kept you company as you strode deeper and deeper into the world, determined to do the only thing you could do, determined to save the only life you could save.
Yes.
The journey.
Yeah, that's a very good one.
Okay.
So we were talking earlier, I was telling you that I have been on a journey over the last few years, and that poem very much relates to it. Had been in a very long-term marriage that had come to an end. And I was having a hard time letting go of that because my dream was never to be divorced. And I had to let go of that. Much like the poem. That can
be a devastating loss,
yes,
really.
It was.
Yeah.
So I went through that process and grieving and transitioning, and I made a decision at that point. I was living in Georgia at the time, and I said, okay, because all these things I was studying were about, you can create the life you want, you just have to visualize it and dream it and, believe it. And so I came up with what my dream life would be. I created a new dream board.
Oh, great idea.
And this dream board, I wanted to be in a beautiful place, because I would get to choose wherever I wanted to live in my new life. And I wanted to be near the water because I believe that's very healing and soothing. I wanted to be near an airport because I love to travel and I want to travel again. And as I put my dream board and my list together, as St. Pete was shouting at me, because I had grown up here and my mom lived here and I had been here and vacationed here.
And it's a beautiful, beautiful place with lots of water and great people. And I think there's an airport too.
There is.
One of them.
Everything was on my list. So I made that decision. And and this is just profound to me, is that when I was driving down here, the moving van had already come down and my car's loaded down. I'm driving down the road, and when I crossed the Florida line, there began to be something in my spirit that said, "You're going home. You're coming home." When I pulled into St. Petersburg, I felt such a calm and a peace about this was where I belonged and that my time was now for this transition and that everything was going to be fabulous. And then I joined the Chamber of Commerce, another community I'm involved in.
Right.
And I learned the history that St. Petersburg was formed, as a place for health and wellness. And here I was coming down here to begin my health and wellness business, and I had just come to the perfect place.
Wow.
So I knew I felt the connection with the people, like I had felt when I was in Georgia, that there was always that friction of like, people don't really relate to me. There's just this little disconnect.
Yeah.
Whereas when I came here, it was like I said to myself, I am with my people. I am with my people now.
This is a round peg in a round hole now, right?
Yes,
that worked. Okay.
So
Wow,
it's
that's really great. So
really
it's so
exciting.
fitting for you to be here and that this happened in your, and I love hearing the story about how that felt. I really appreciate your sharing that. And so this led you to your being involved in another community, the nutrition community.
Correct, right. So I am an independent distributor for Shackley products. Those were the products I was introduced to nearly 25 years ago that made a life-changing
difference. Oh, so that was
difference.
the shake that your friend dared you to have. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now I do that with people. I say 30-day dare. If you don't feel better, you get your money back, and it works,
Yeah, sure.
I've seen a lot of lives transformed that way. So yeah, I've partnered up with the Shackley Corporation, and now this is my full-time career and vocation, whereas before I just, had this as a side, business that I did. So this has been an exciting journey for me because, again, when I connect with other Shaklee distributors, I feel like I'm with my people.
Right, you've been involved with so long.
Yeah.
And what's impressive to me also, Carla, is that having your background as a certified health coach
Mhm.
And to support this product
Mhm.
in this product line is really pretty impressive. It really tells me a lot that you are invested in that, and that must be pretty good stuff.
Yes. Well, a lot of people don't realize that Dr. Shaklee created the one of the first multivitamins over 100 years ago.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, and plant-based, natural and in harmony with nature, and for it to be a live food source with living enzymes and all this. These were all buzzwords today
Yeah.
that were not back then.
Well, and you told me something else about the company that I was shocked to learn that it was 2010 or 2001 or something that the Shaklee company, and I'm not a Shaklee sponsor, I don't do Shaklee products, so this is not an advertisement, that the company decided to become carbon neutral, which is a big interest of mine is the climate change.
Right.
And this was like 15 years ago that they were doing this?
Yeah, well, I'll even back up a little bit further.
Yeah.
Dr. Shaklee created the first biodegradable cleaning product back in the 1960s.
Wow, okay.
And it was the first official Earth Day product.
Oh,
so,
right, a non-phosphorus product.
Yeah, the company, and the first, back in the 70s, the first automatic dishwashing detergent without the harmful ingredients that are in them. So the company has always been a very green company, but they decided back in, they became climate neutral certified, the first company in the world to do that in the year 2000.
That is just
it's
incredible.
been 15 years that every year they've maintained that status of offsetting, the carbon footprint of everything that they make and produce, and shipping products and planting trees. These are some of the projects that they do to offset. So it's an amazing company and that's why I partner with them, because not only did I have amazing results, I'm now able to manage my allergies naturally for the last 25 years without all those antibiotics, as well as raise my children, without having to take drugs, medications. And so it's and then help so many other people.
It fits right in with your whole philosophy.
Correct.
Lifestyle, living foods,
right,
being in tune with nature,
exactly,
and having a good attitude.
Yes.
And when you're a part of a group, a company that is aligned with you, that's one of those things.
Yeah.
When it's out of alignment, when you're doing things just because you got to, but it's not quite right, that shows up.
And you feel it.
It shows up in your body. You feel it. You may slug through because you have to. There's no other options right now, so it seems. But you have created this. You've found this. These have come into your life to show you that you are on the right path, and it shows.
Oh, well, thank you. It's a radio show, but thank you.
Well, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Our YouTube audience can see.
So do we have time for me to mention the Happy Healthy Mamas?
Sure, I think we do.
Okay, so locally we have
Happy Healthy Mamas.
That's right. So this is
That sounds like fun.
It is fun.
Happy Healthy Mamas.
These are some amazing women that I'm working with in one of my community building projects. It's headed by Daphne Booth. She's a coastal scientist, and she has partnered up also with Shaklee and created this community of moms who are they're working together to make life simpler, greener, and healthier. That's their tagline. And they share with other moms how using Shaklee products can simplify life. And so it's just a great fun little group. So look them up online. Happy Healthy Mamas LTD, living the dream. And
so would you please give out your contact information again?
Sure. My name is Carla Clayton. I am the Wellness Lady at wellnesslady.com.
Okay.
And my email is carla@wellnesslady.com.
And if anybody wants to find out about the Rotary or Happy Healthy Mamas, they can go to your website, thewellnesslady.com, and they'll be able to contact you
That's right.
through that. And if they're interested in Shackley products or in, I don't know if you still do the health coaching.
Yes.
Or if they want some health coaching for themselves and their family. It sounds like that's a great combination of things.
Yeah. And I've got some fun events coming up in February
Okay.
called Chocolate Spas, and I'm partnering with some other amazing women in the Holistic Network. That's the other
Okay.
community I'm in.
Right.
And I'm hooking up with Harmony Eco Hair Spa, which is fabulous. They use all organic. Yeah, Jennifer Andrews.
Jennifer, right?
Great
She's
organic
great.
products. So Tuesday, February 16th, I'm going to have a chocolate spa party there. Spa being stress prevention activities.
Oh.
And we will be serving some fun chocolate
Love that.
as well. And then there's another amazing group of ladies at Custom Movement Fitness. Nicole Alonso and MJ Johnson. They own that business, and we're going to have a chocolate spa with them on Friday, February 19th. And that's all on my website on the events tab.
And February 18th is the Rotary Meet at the Hilton.
Yes, I'm going to have a busy week.
You are. That's a big week for you. All right, well, Carla Clayton, thank you so much for being here. What a delight.
Well, you
Thank
are
you
so
for sharing
welcome.
your story with us.
You're so welcome. It's good to be
And your
here.
energy.
Well, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
it's
you.
a real pleasure. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank
so
you
nice
again.
of you to do that. And I just want to let folks know that you've been listening to DayQuest Life Radio Hour on WSPF-DB, rhinoonair.com, your favorite friendly internet radio station. Our next show will be in 2 weeks, and we're going to have a great guest, Christopher Walton, who is the Director of Operations for an event that's coming here in St. Petersburg in March called Awakening into the Sun. It's a holistic energy healers, positive attitude event that sounds like really super. Going to be a lot of music there. And so Christopher's going to come and talk about his path and also give some information, more information about awakening into the sun. If you'd like more information about the show, if you'd like to easily get the YouTube or the podcast, certainly go to rhinoonair.com, or you can go to my website, which is dayquestlife.com. That's dayquestlife.com. And please, make a comment if you have a favorite poem or you'd like to explore a topic. Please let me know that. I'm always happy to hear. And if you're interested in accessing any counseling or coaching sessions, I'm obviously doing work with that and mindfulness training as well. So until next time, this is Michael Whalen for DayQuest Life. And remember to ask yourself, what is life asking of me today? And then quest to answer life's call. See you all next time. Thank you for listening.